been through the Saber unit?
No, sir.
You've been through the Saber unit?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go over, there's a lot to go over. It's great whenever this is the first class because there's a lot of things to talk about. So we do, you'll hear us talk about two-edged weapons in the school. One is the saber and the other one is the straight sword. Straight sword is considered to be a thinking man's weapon. There's a lot of finesse in it. This is a big, fat, wieldy, very heavy object that typically was used by soldiers a lot of times. Or the metal in it's not quite as nice as the metal that's in the straight sword.
Huh.
So if you had like an inferior metal, you can make something big, heavy, and it's fairly effective. Whereas if you try to make this into something thinner and smaller, it would probably break. So let's talk about the weapon a little bit. This is the sharp side. Okay. Anytime you see us touch the weapon, we are going to be touching the back side, the blunt side. Okay. You'll see us kind of push down or grab it. You will never do this. Okay.
Sir.
Don't ever do that. It'll cut your fingers off. Especially if you were to try to grip it like this. Fingers will be cut off. So we always kind of push down. You'll see that on the back of the saber there's also kind of a straight portion right here, and then it kind of dips in.
Sir.
This section right here would also a lot of times be sharpened as well. So you'll have, that's meant for stabbing, so it'll go into somebody easier. So when you have both ends actually sharp. It was a weapon meant for hurting people really badly. So there's a few things. So when we hold it, we're going to be holding it here, either your left hand or your right hand. It's going to be at your shoulder. Sharp side of it's going to go out. Dull side is going to go in. The reason is because a lot of times students will kind of come into class with it like this, and you can get hurt. A little better to hold it behind when you're moving through class. That is because whenever you bend over and you move, then it's going to be in a better position, because a lot of times when people bend over, it kind of falls forward. This is also going to be our starting position. First thing we are going to do is we are going to get used to our saber. When you hold it, you're going to hold it with a firm grip. Okay. Later we're going to learn how to kind of do like a loose grip, but for now, like, you do not want to lose your weapon. If you drop it, then there's 20 push-ups. That's fine in class. 20 push-ups is no big deal. If you were on a battlefield with a bunch of other guys with spears and sabers and you drop this, you'd pretty much be dead. This is what's keeping you from getting killed. The first thing we're going to look at is how to cut our saber. Okay. And so I've got a number of ways that I teach this. Master Gohring got like a number of ways. The best one that I have found is that we would put one hand on our wrist. So we're going to start with the saber in our right hand. We're going to pull it all the way up to the guard. So there's the blade, there's a guard, there's a handle, and there's a pommel. The pommel kind of keeps the grip on. So this is where our handle's going to, or this is where our hand is going to be. It's going to be right up against the guard. And the guard is meant to keep our hands from getting cut whenever we're blocking another blade. So that other blade comes up to the guard and hits the guard rather than cutting our hand. Okay?
Sir.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with that right foot forward. We're going to kind of shift our weight into that right foot. Take our left hand, we're going to put it on our right forearm. And when we cut, we're going to start at our right shoulder. We're going to cut down to our left. Okay? So one of the things that I want to talk about with this is that you want to make sure that you can feel the blade actually doing the cutting. All right? What happens with a lot of students is they wind up not cutting with the blade. You wind up getting a little sloppy. You're never going to be able to cut anything with the side of the blade. It sounds like common sense, but when you first start off, that's not something you're thinking about. The other thing is, don't think of this as a prop. Don't think of this as just like when we do fan forms, like, oh, this is meant for flourish. I want you to kind of think of this as like what we're doing is a lot of the moves that we're doing actually have applications.
Yes, sir.
All of them have applications. So I want you to think about that every time we do one of these moves, we're actually doing a cut or we're doing a block. All right? The first thing that we do when we do this class, and this is going to waste 5 minutes of every class, is we have to practice our cuts. Okay? Because when you first start, the cuts feel awkward. The whole thing's clumsy. You're going to get to the point where it's like you can do these cuts to just kind of flow right out of you. Okay? The way we do that is with that practice. We start with the hand. The reason I'm asking you to have your hand on your wrist is because your cuts don't come from the hand. Your cuts actually come from your waist.
Yes, sir.
So when we do our cuts, there has to be that waist movement. The best way to get that waist movement is to make sure that both of your hands are actually, your arms are actually stuck together. If I'm doing this, it's very easy for me to do that. If I've got my hand here, it makes it easy for me to get that cut in. And then also later, whenever I've got my practice and I'm putting my hand in a safe location, I'm still doing that waist. Okay? So there's two cuts. We're going to do two down cuts. One is going to start with that right shoulder. It's going to go down and to the left. And then when we reset, it's going to come up to that left shoulder. Our hips should already be turned. So all we're going to do is we're going to turn them back in the other direction. We're going to go from that left shoulder down to the right. Come back up to the right shoulder, down to the left. Left shoulder to the right. Right shoulder to the left. And when you do this, we're going to go slow because I want you guys to think about actually having that blade, the sharp portion of the blade needs to be leading all of your cuts. It needs to be in front.
Yes,
You're actually trying to cut something with this. You're not trying to bat something, you're trying to cut something.
Sir.
All right? So we're going to do our practice. So what I want you guys to do is, starting out, I want you to do 20 down cuts. 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be 10 on each side.
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't cut the floor.
I actually broke one of my speakers with my staff.
Oh no.
I forgot how long that thing is.
Oh yeah. What we were talking about, like, did you use a broomstick or something?
I used my staff, and I was outside, so I wasn't thinking about it, but I had a speaker so I could hear.
Yeah.
And I just destroyed the speaker.
Yeah, that staff set, these moves are pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
And people don't, yeah, we're learning how to do them really fast. Okay, so with the wooden sabers, there's something I want to talk about, like, there's going to be you're going to accidentally cut the floor. You're borrowing somebody else's saber. What happens with the wooden sabers whenever you hit the floor is the tip's going to break off. Yeah, is this tip still on that one?
No.
Yeah, somebody probably already broke it off. And so what happens when these break off, the tip doesn't break off. What happens is a splinter about this long breaks off. Okay? So be very careful with the wooden sabers.
Yes, sir.
And it may go into somebody's eye, because whenever you hit, it's going to be pretty violent. That thing's going to fly off. Okay? So please be very careful with, especially with somebody else's saber, that you don't break off the tip. Okay, we've just learned our down cuts. Let's learn our up cuts. So it's going to go the same way. Your up cuts are going to come. We're going to start with our saber down, and it's just going to come up. Our hand's still on our forearm, but we're going to come up. These are going to feel a little, depending upon who you are, these are going to feel a little better, a little smoother than our down cuts. Make sure we're always leading with that sharp edge.
It's like a golf swing.
It's kind of like a golf swing. So you're going to start low, like this. Start with the tip of the blade pointing down. We're going to come up to our left. Yes. We're going to go low, come up, lower, up, up, up. Good. Start low, and when you go low, don't try to lean. Just take your thumb. You're gonna point your thumb straight down, just like this. You have to sanitize these down. One other thing I want to show you guys, and that is exactly kind of the motion that we're doing. And the reason why we kind of do this motion, And that is because a lot of times when you're gonna do a straight cut, it's not gonna go very far. You gotta put a lot of force into it. One of the things, I don't know if you've ever cut vegetables, and if you've done it with like a not so sharp knife, this doesn't always quite work. So you'll do a little bit of this action to get those cuts to go all the way through. So we're doing the same thing. Once it hits, we're actually dragging it across somebody's body. So it's that cut and it's a drag. Or I guess it's strike and drag. Strike and drag. So that as you're dragging across, you're still pushing the blade into the body. And that's where a lot of those deep cuts are gonna come from. They're gonna come from that slide. Okay?
So
We're also gonna learn we're gonna put all of our body weight later into it, and it's gonna be a stabbing motion. And that's gonna go pretty deep into somebody.
yes, sir.
We are out of time. This is one of those ones where I love this. I love Saber. I love teaching Saber. Saber is one of those ones where we will wind up spending 30, 40 minutes, like if it's a long class, where it feels like, to me, we're just playing around. Some of the students go, oh wow, we didn't do anything in class, we just played around, but it's part of the form.
Right.
So we've got one move where we're gonna do our down cut, and then there's this flourish that we do. We will spend, sometimes we will spend 2 or 3 classes just learning how to do that, because it feels difficult for some students, and some students, they pick it up really quickly, and those students kind of feel like we're just goofing off in class, but we're not, we're learning, it's because that's actually a block. We're learning how to cut and block at the same time.
Yes, sir.
All right, let us line up and bow out.
Sir. Bow to head instructor.
Bow to beginner level students. Right. Master's Path Training dismissed.